Hey guys, Randy with Pete's RV TV here again today. Another quick tip segment for you. Today I'm going to show you how to install a pump converter. It's getting a little bit of cold up here in the Northeast. You can probably see the goosebumps under my tattoos. That time of year to get winterizing. Now winterizing's pretty basic, but if we can make it easier, I'm good with that. And once you install one of these in your trailer, it's going to make it easier for every time you have to winterize. So pump converters can come in a couple different ways. And what a pump converter is something that we attach very near to our water pump. So either the trailer can draw out of the freshwater holding tank when we're using it in the summer, we're dry camping or traveling or what have you, or it will draw out of our antifreeze jug, and we just install a quick valve and a little hose on there, and that way we can turn the valve, put the hose in the jug, and we can winterize without having to unhook our pump. So it just makes it easier for us. And it can be done very inexpensively. This is one of the kits that we sell in the store. Again, pretty easy to hook up. This is a brass. It comes with a coupling here, so you can go right to the head of the water pump and everything that you need to do. My preferred method is with a three-way valve, a plumbing valve that we would use for PEX plumbing. This is what I've got in my camper, and this is the way I'd like to install them if I do it for our customers. And so I'm going to show you how to put in the three-way valve for the PEX plumbing. Now, we're not going to be hooking this to PEX plumbing, so first thing we can do is get rid of these PEX plumbing nuts. And what I've supplied myself with was 3 hose clamps, because that's going to work in conjunction with these tits here on this guy. Now, this can be purchased at any RV store, and again, it's called a three-way valve. And what we want to do when we look at the three-way valve is it's going to allow water to pass through one of them all the time, and then one or the other depending on which way we select the valve. So first thing we got to do is determine which one is the constant flow. So the only way to do that is kind of look down the hole, and if you turn the valve like so, and I can still see, and well, Josh won't be able to see it with the camera, but I can see it open on both ways, and I look at the other two and it's open one way, closed the other way. So I've just determined that this one right here is the one that gets the constant flow. So that's the one that we want to hook to the plumbing side of the camper. And I just usually make a little mark on it so I can retrieve it quickly while I'm putting this together. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to locate the pipe that we want to cut into. Now, in the Sprinter here, got a pretty good location. I can see what's going on. So this flex line right here on our pump goes down below the floor. It's a flex line. That's going to go to our freshwater holding tank. On the other side, I can see some plumbing coming off, and I got 2 pipes coming off. I got the city water fill coming in, and this guy here. I know that side of the pump is the output side of the pump, and this is the incoming side of the pump. And you can usually tell, again, one's flex line, it's got one hose going to it, and the reason I use flex line on this is to keep noise down while the pump is running. And I've got 2 hoses and my city fills coming on the other side, so I know that's the plumbing side of the coach, which is where we're going to push the antifreeze through the pump or draw it into the pump and push that way. So now that we've determined that, also with the SureFlow pumps and the jet pumps, both the biggies out there that you're going to see in the RV world, if you look at the head of the pump, there is directional arrows if you're not 100% sure, but sometimes it's hard to get your head in there and see which way that's going. So if you use my method, you should be all right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my fancy pipe cutters. Now you don't need fancy pipe cutters like this. You can use a razor blade or something like that, but you want something to be able to cut through the pipe fairly straight, so when we put our hose clamps on, we get a good connection. So I'm just going to cut this guy right here, and that's where I'm going to install my valve. So again, now that I know that this is the full-time plumbing side where I put my little red mark there, that's the side I want to go into the pump. The other side is going to draw off the water tank, and then we'll put our hose on this side. Now I'm going to put my hose on it just to save doing it underneath that cabinet. So first thing I'm going to do is put my hose clamp on, put that guy on there, and we can go ahead and tighten up our hose clamp. If I was smart, I would have brought a tip for my screw gun to do this with, but I wasn't, so I'll just do it with a screwdriver. Bear with me here. Perfect, that's good and tight. Now I'm going to take my hose clamps and slide them on my other 2 pipes. So they're there. We'll go ahead and install this guy here. So again, water tank, and then head of the pump, right there. And again, pretty important you find out which is the constant flow, because if you hook us up the wrong way, it's not going to work for us. And if you find you've installed it and it's not drawing antifreeze the proper way or getting it to the right location, you may want to just take it apart and make sure that you've got it hooked up correctly. So I'm going to get in the way of the camera here for just a minute so I can tighten these up. And you don't have to kill them. It's not crazy high pressure water, but we want to make sure they're good and snug so we don't have any leaks down the road. and we don't get antifreeze all over our carpet. One more to tighten up here. And after you've installed this, you can watch the video that Josh and I made about winterizing the campers, doing the basic winterization, and that should help you get down that road if you have any questions on that as well. All right, with both of those tight, we have successfully installed a pump converter. So, with the valve turned this way, we're going to be drawing out of our freshwater holding tank into that water pump and pushing water from the holding tank throughout the coach when we don't have city water present. And with the valve turned this way, we can now put this right into our antifreeze jug, turn the water pump on, and start pumping antifreeze through all our faucets and devices throughout the coach. Simple as that. So we've just successfully installed a pump converter, and that's going to make your winterizing a lot easier for you every year rather than unhooking and hooking that pump. So thanks for watching Pete's RV TV with Randy today. Thanks for checking out our quick tips, and happy camping, and thanks for stopping in.